we have offered two options of joining this audio presentation. One is by conference call line, and one is through our Adobe Connect webinar line. If you are on the computer to hear it, you will not see a presentation, you will only hear, but you can have an opportunity to ask questions in the chat box in the bottom right-hand corner. If you are on the phone and you think of a question you want to ask, you're going to have to send it to my email address at debbie.davis@parkinson.ca. You will have noticed we fixed a few of our technical issues from last time. No one will be introduced on this call, and we actually have all of you on mute. Sandy is in a lecture mode right now, so we can't hear anybody on the phone, and we're just trusting that you're all out there. So I'll turn the time over to Sandy, and just to let you know as well, we had almost 100 people on the call last month, so we're really think this is great that people are so enthused about this. So I'll turn the time over to Sandy, and thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Thank you all for participating again in today's call. I was thrilled this week to learn, as Debbie has just mentioned, that we had 97 people on the call for January, and I really hope that we will continue to grow our outreach in the coming months. For those of you who are calling in for the first time today, I just want to go over how the sessions will work. Given the number of people who are calling in, it is not possible for you to ask me questions in person. If you have a computer and have a question, please send an email to Debbie at debbie.davis@parkinson.ca. Debbie's in the room with me, and she will print off your question for me. I will repeat the question for everybody to hear and answer it accordingly. If you don't have a computer, please stay on the line and just listen. I will do about a 30-minute presentation, and then we'll have a question and answer period. I want to start today by doing a very short review of last month's session. Because before I begin today's session, I think it's important that we just review what we talked about last month. Parkinson's is a topic, or is a condition, I should say, that affects the whole body and is a combination of symptoms, some of which you can see, as well as some that are hidden. It's an illness which is caused by the slow and gradual breakdown of nerve cells in the brain. As we get older, cells in our body begin to work less efficiently. Some get sick and some eventually die. When you have Parkinson's disease, some areas of your brain are getting older faster than the rest of your body. A person with Parkinson gradually, slowly loses the ability to have complete control over their body movements. These are the symptoms referred to as the motor symptoms, such as slowness of movement. This is movement of the hands, legs, voice, and even face, which are slowed, and there is less spontaneous movement. Movement that is free and natural, so you can move how, when, where you want to at any given time. Shaking or tremor is another common symptom. This often occurs in the hands, legs, or even jaw, and when the limbs are at rest, so that you're not using them. Stiffness, you may notice this symptom in your neck, in your back, in your shoulders, as well as other parts of your body, and is a symptom that your doctor will be looking for during your regular checkup. The last motor symptom I discussed in January is problems with walking. Walking may be slow, you may shuffle your feet, and for some people, as Parkinson's progresses, you may get stuck or frozen in one place. It feels like your feet are stuck to the floor. All these things often lead to problems with balance, and loss of balance can end up with a fall, sometimes even several falls, the consequences of which might be a head injury or even broken bones. I did touch on a few other topics as well, and if you would like to hear the entire January chat, go to our website, which is parkinson.ca. That's parkinson.ca. On the right-hand side, there's a button that says PDTV. Click that button and then you will see the link to Sandy's lunchtime chats. My chat today, what I am talking to you about today, will be available at this site shortly as well. So, now on to our topic for today. Most people think that the major symptoms of Parkinson's relate to problems with movement, including the ones I've just reviewed, such as tremor, stiffness, and problems with walking. These motor symptoms occur because of deterioration of nerve cells in the central nervous system, which contains both the brain and spinal cord. However, those of you with many years of experience with Parkinson's are also very familiar with a wide variety of symptoms, commonly referred to as non-motor symptoms, some of which are due to Parkinson's itself or as well as its treatment. Some examples of the non-motor symptoms are change in smell and taste, swallowing difficulties, depression and anxiety, apathy, sweating, sleep disturbances, sexual dysfunction, bladder dysfunction, hallucinations, delusions, restless leg syndrome are some of these symptoms, but are not all of the symptoms. These symptoms occur because of a deterioration of another nervous system. This one is called the peripheral nervous system, whose job it is to connect the central nervous system, remember, that's the brain and the spinal cord, to every other part of the body. Sorry if I'm boring you with this short version of Anatomy 101, but I think it's important for you to understand that there is more than just one nervous system involved in Parkinson's. The reason I'm emphasizing this is because levodopa, the gold standard of medication in the treatment of Parkinson's, that's your Sinemet or your Prolopa, which I'm assuming many of you are already taking, it's very effective when it comes to treating the stiffness and the slowness, those motor symptoms. But it is not always helpful in treating the non-motor symptoms. And in fact, levodopa is sometimes responsible for the non-motor symptoms themselves. For example, hallucinations are delusion, and delusions are really side effects of the medication. We're going to deal with those in a topic in the not-too-distant future. So, if you expect your levodopa, that's your Sinemet or Prolopa, to treat all of your symptoms, then think again. There is a guide to the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's that's available for you. If you don't have one, you can call me at either 416-227-3375, or if you're out of town, 1-800-565-3000, extension 3375. Leave me your name, your address, and I will send you one in the mail. Also, it's important to understand these non-motor symptoms because your doctor may not be aware of this information. So you need to learn what they are, how to recognize them, and how to help your doctor to help you to manage these symptoms. So, back to the peripheral nervous system. Under the umbrella of the peripheral nervous system is a system called the autonomic nervous system. This is the system I call the automatic nervous system because everything under this system happens automatically without us even being aware or conscious of it. Let me give you a couple of examples so you'll understand what I'm talking about. How many times have you blinked today? How many times have you had to control your blood pressure? Have you had to turn your own internal thermostat up or down? I doubt it. Because these are all things that normally we don't even have to think about, because our autonomic, or Sandy's version, the automatic nervous system, takes care of them. However, Parkinson's may impair this system, causing a variety of symptoms. I can't talk about all the symptoms today of the autonomic or automatic nervous system when it breaks down, so I'm going to start with one of the most common complaints of people with Parkinson's that falls into this category: constipation. I would say that on average, between Robert and myself, these calls take up about 50% of the calls from people with Parkinson's who are distressed because of their constipation. Remember, everyone with Parkinson's is different. So for some, constipation is just a nuisance. For others, it's a much more serious problem. It should be noted that even in people without Parkinson's, constipation is more common. All part of getting older, I'm afraid, a topic some of us are encountering whether we like it or not. Getting older, I mean. I speak from personal experience. Parkinson's definitely slows down the gastrointestinal tract. Please don't ask me to say that too many times. The gastrointestinal tract. That's the tract that starts in the mouth and ends in the anus. This causes problems with swallowing, emptying of the stomach, and movement of the intestines as everything becomes sluggish. Constipation is one area that researchers are actually looking at, as it may predate the development of other Parkinson's symptoms, in some cases by many years. So what I mean by that is that there is evidence, scientific evidence, that Parkinson's actually may start in the gastrointestinal system, not in the area of the brain where we have thought that it started for years. Even though the symptoms of tremor, slowness of movement, stiffness of movement, and walking are usually the symptoms that usually take you to your general practitioner at the beginning, and then you will be referred to a neurologist. But problems with things like constipation may have predated this. So that's where they're looking to figure out, where does Parkinson's really start? That's the $64 billion question these days. Okay. In addition, about constipation, it's important to know that many medications used to treat the motor symptoms, such as amantadine and levodopa, sometimes have a slowing effect on the motion of the intestines. So again, I go back to the point. Don't expect that levodopa, while it's very helpful for your tremor, for your stiffness, and for your slowness, don't expect that it will help everything. That's why you need to know what these other symptoms are. Some things you can do to help more material move through the intestinal tract are our old friend exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Daily exercise has been proven to help with constipation. When people with Parkinson's become more sedentary, basically when they become couch potatoes, because their walking and or balance problems increase as Parkinson's advances, the intestinal mobility, or the ability of things to move through the intestine, become worse. So please remember how important exercise is. Secondly, eat more fiber, especially at breakfast, along with natural bowel stimulants like prunes. I've had a lot of people tell me that they drink prune juice Even some people drink warm prune juice. They find that to be very helpful. Even hot coffee, a cup of hot coffee, obviously not burning, but a cup of as hot coffee as you can handle, and then go for a walk. There's that exercise coming to play again. Drink, drink, drink. Water, that is, or juice, but preferably water. Okay, I'm not a proponent of drinking lots of alcohol, although that reminds me, not everybody thinks that they can have a glass of wine or a beer or two when they have Parkinson's. That's wrong. I know I'm diverting from the topic of constipation at the moment, but I just don't want you to deprive yourselves of some things. Everything in moderation, you guys. Everything in moderation. So, no problem with having a glass of wine or a drink of beer if that's your fancy. Anyway, back to water. 5 to 6 glasses a day, and increase your roughage or your fiber in your diet. Talk to your doctor about using Metamucil preparation or some kind of psyllium along with some stool softeners. Don't just go and buy over-the-counter medications, please. Every medication has a side effect, and having a stool softener or some kind of a Metamucil-like preparation may not be in your best interest if you have other issues. So again, check with your doctor. It is important for you to have regular bowel movements and not frequent ones. Severe constipation can lead to bowel obstruction, which is indeed a medical emergency. I heard one doctor refer to a bowel obstruction, and this is a bit gross, and sorry, I know it's lunchtime, but he talked about it when he sees it on an MRI as looking like a dead mouse in the middle of your colon. You don't want any mice in your colon, especially dead ones. Let your doctor know if you're not having regular bowel movements. Now, in my research for today's presentation, I looked up what is a regular bowel movement. Well, guess what? Regular isn't the same for everybody. Some people have a regular bowel movement, 1 per day. For some people, a regular bowel pattern is 2 per day. For some, a regular bowel movement doesn't happen unless it's every other day. Fewer than 3 per week, I would say, is definitely looking like constipation. But the bottom line is, for everybody, if there has been a change in the number of the bowel movements or the number of times that you have a bowel movement, whether that's on a per day basis or a per week basis, be sure to talk to your doctor. It's also important to note that your medication is absorbed in the small intestine. It's absorbed in the upper part of the bowel. So if you're constipated, guess what? That's where your medication will sit. It will not get absorbed properly and will not be as effective as it should be, which can severely impact your quality of life. A couple of years ago, when I was attending one of the movement disorder centers, I had the opportunity to see an MRI of a person with Parkinson's who had been admitted to hospital with a bowel obstruction. What had happened historically with this patient was that for a period of 5 to 6 days before his admission to hospital, he had gone from being a very highly functional, independent individual who was able to walk with no problem at all to somebody who was basically bedridden, and nobody could figure out what was going on. When the admitting doctor took a history from this patient, it was noticed that this gentleman had not had a bowel movement for 6 days. And lo and behold, what did they see when they did an MRI of this gentleman's colon? You guessed it. Approximately 2 inches of a yellow substance called levodopa or cinnamate, was sitting on top of the dead mouse, sitting on top of the bowel obstruction. No wonder this poor gentleman had not had any independence or any ability to be able to walk or do anything for himself for a long time. His Sinemet simply wasn't getting into his bloodstream and back up to his brain. So again, it's important to know your medication is absorbed in your small intestine, the upper part of your colon. Again, if you're constipated, your medication will not get absorbed properly and therefore can't possibly be as effective as it could be and will severely impact your quality of life. We have a brochure on constipation here. We also have a brochure on bowel management. And please call us again if you're questioning the numbers. They're on all of our brochures. My number specifically, 416-227-3375, or email me, and I'd be happy to send you one of these documents if this is a problem for you. Okay, I have a few questions to answer today. I'm happy to have had a few questions. I'm not getting as many questions as I would have liked, so if it's possible for you, if you have a question and you would like to send us a question, please send your questions to my executive director, who has kindly agreed to take these questions and let me know what they are. Again, that's at Debbie, that's DEBBIE .Davis, DAVIS, at Parkinson, PARKINSON.ca. Interestingly enough, a couple of the questions that I received about today for this presentation involve problems with bowel management. The first question I received, this gentleman is having actually some issues related to his colon, and these are questions. The question reads, my husband has officially had Parkinson's for 7 years. He has noticeable abdominal distension, which appears to result in his feeling full very soon after he starts to eat a meal. His family doctor has sent him for an abdominal ultrasound and a CT scan. There don't appear to be any abnormalities. This full feeling has contributed to his struggle with ongoing weight loss. Is this feeling of fullness common in Parkinson's, and what, if anything, might help? We have found it challenging to try to eat smaller meals more frequently as well due to his medication regime. So again, this speaks to the bloating issues which can result when the stomach empties its contents into the small intestine too slowly. Remember a few minutes ago I talked about the gastrointestinal sluggishness, whereby when things are moving through that tract between the back of your throat and your mouth and the back of your throat down to your stomach, and then the stomach is expected to empty its contents into the small intestine quickly. If that is sluggish or too slow, a condition called gastroparesis can happen, and it can cause particular problems for people who are taking levodopa. If the drug remains in the stomach too long or in the small intestine too long, it can't be absorbed, and therefore again it can't travel back to the brain. There's no real therapy for this issue. However, I think this is something that definitely should be brought to your doctor's attention, because the other thing that is concerning me about this particular question is the addition that this gentleman is losing weight. Again, why changes in weight loss can be experienced by people with Parkinson's is not a well understood or well researched phenomenon. So the exact reasons for changes in weight is not well understood. But again, if this problem with the bloating is consistently being shown up with the issues with weight loss, I think the whole nutrition and diet of this gentleman needs to be looked at, because again, it is very common for people with advanced Parkinson's to lose weight, even despite trying to eat more. So again, as I said, if this is stopping you from eating, you may try again taking your meals during your on times. That's times when the medication is working well, and again, you'll find it easier as well to swallow at these times. Again, there's no medical treatment for weight loss due to Parkinson's, but you should make sure that you're eating enough. And sometimes people, because during most of our lives, most of us are conscious of having too many calories or of becoming overweight, but for some people with Parkinson's, eating as much high-caloric ice cream, milkshakes, all of those things may help to counteract the weight loss. But again, you need to make sure that you're eating enough. And also supplements such as Ensure or Boost may also help to increase this gentleman's weight and may even help with the bloating. So if this questionnaire, if this person asking the question needs more information, you know how to get a hold of me particularly. Okay, another question relating to the bowel is this topic. My husband has bouts of diarrhea occasionally, and we cannot relate this to a certain food. Is this a part of the disease? So, the answer is Parkinson's and anti-Parkinson's medications can, rarely, but can cause diarrhea. For this reason, if you do develop diarrhea, you should nearly always assume that it is being caused by something other than medications. Again, something that I talked about last week, or at least last month I should say, in my chat with you, is that we can't blame Parkinson's for everything that happens. And I have known many occasions in the time that I've been here at Parkinson's Society where people have overlooked, and where doctors have overlooked symptoms that they say, oh well, you have Parkinson's, that's probably what's going on. In this case, in this gentleman's case, maybe the diarrhea is related to either his Parkinson's in and of itself or the anti-Parkinson's medications. This is something that you should definitely discuss with your physician, but ask your physician as well to look for other problems that could be affecting the bowel. Something else that I'm not sure that if you are aware of, but there is one type of diarrhea that is actually a complication of an extreme form of constipation. With severe constipation, stool that remains, or fecal material that remains for some time in the gut, can become very hard, very dry, and impacted. In other words, it's not moving anywhere. And it can almost block the intestine. Then what happens is liquid stool then flows around the impaction. So think of it a little bit like a detour. Okay, so there's like an accident on the highway, and now you have to take a detour around it. And that's what can happen. So you're still producing stool, and it's blocked, but then it can turn into a liquid, and then it flows around the impaction, which leads to a type of diarrhea called overflow incontinence. So maybe there is an impaction in the colon, again, an obstruction, constipation going on, and removal of that impaction will stop what looks like diarrhea, but is actually due to severe constipation and impaction. I hope that answers this individual's question around the diarrhea. Please, again, don't hesitate to call if you have any more questions about that. Okay, on to another question. This gentleman has problems with both of his feet. Initially, his doctor did not know if he had Parkinson's or diabetes. Finally, they determined that he has Parkinson's, and he's also been attending a support group. When he asked others in the support group if they had problems, the same problems that he had, no one was able to relate or share that they had these problems, and he wonders if anybody else might have the same issues, or if I might be able to give him some insight into what's going on. Basically, the problems are sharp pain in his feet, burning sensations. His feet actually turn red, mostly at night, and while he finds that walking eases the pain, he doesn't get very much sleep, obviously, because he's having to walk because of his painful episodes with his feet. People with Parkinson's have sometimes what we call sensory side effects. They frequently describe the sensations such as numbness, tingling, burning, coldness, aching, even sharp pains in their legs, backs, abdomen, or pelvic regions. These sensations generally come and go, i.e. they're not usually constant. And sometimes they occur when the anti-Parkinson's medication is working, but most often when it is not. And although these sensory phenomena, such as this gentleman is experiencing, they're not usually disabling, they can certainly become disruptive and are very uncomfortable. So I guess the bottom line is that I don't really have a good answer for this gentleman's concerns. I'm wondering if he can relate to the fact that are these symptoms occurring when his medications are not working very well, i.e. when they're wearing off, or prior to the next dose of his medications. The only other thing that I can suggest to him is that he obviously report this to his physician, because once again, we can't always blame Parkinson's for everything, and I'm wondering if there is something else going on. Neuropathy, which is pains in the nervous system, may be what's causing this. And I'm wondering, when you said, when the question is, initially his doctor did not know if he had Parkinson's or diabetes, if by any chance this gentleman actually does have diabetes, because there is a neuropathy that goes along with diabetes, and I think that definitely he needs to go back to his doctor and talk about this, because the bottom line is he is not getting enough sleep, which is a huge issue for anybody, but it's a bigger issue as well for people with Parkinson's, and as a result, he's not going to have a very good quality of life. So, again, needs further investigation, that's for sure. Okay, another question. See, hang on a second. One of our attendees asked if this person is a fan of David Doige. That's a person called David, D-O-I-G-E. He has written a book that calls The Brain That Changes Itself. And this caller has kindly shared an excerpt of the latest book with us. Has he ever been invited to speak at a Parkinson's conference, was one question. And the question from this person also is there any research being done by Canadian researchers on training the brains of people with Parkinson's to improve their symptoms? So when it comes to research, in our national office, we have a manager of our research projects, and we asked her if she had an answer to this question. Unfortunately, we don't have the answer, but I'll tell you what I've heard from her so far. And for this person that asked this question, I will be looking at it further. David Dodge was a keynote speaker at the Brainwave Gala a couple of years ago. As for whether there are Canadian researchers actually working on this topic, I don't know. I will have to look into it, and if I don't have an answer for you tomorrow, I will let you know. So again, I'm sorry that this person can't get a satisfactory answer to their question. I'm not just too sure exactly what this is, but I will definitely hang on to this question, and once I have a better answer, I'll definitely let you know, because I think it's a very important topic in terms of research being done on training the brains of people with Parkinson's to improve their symptoms. There is something called neuroplasticity. That's when new brain cells can be grown, and in terms of healing oneself and helping oneself to be as good as one can be by retraining the brain, I think is a very, very important and good topic, and I'm happy to look into that. I've just received another question about what role does the gallbladder play and what adjustments need to be made if you have it removed. The bottom line with this question, I've just received it, so I haven't really had a chance to research it, but the bottom line is that I am not aware of a role that the gallbladder plays in Parkinson's. I really don't think that it does have any part in either the management or the treatment of Parkinson's. And as far as adjustments that need to be made, if you have it removed, again, I'm not aware of that, but this is another question that I'm definitely going to hang on to, and if I can answer this question better for this individual, I will get back to them for sure, because it'll be a learning for me. I love your questions, by the way, because I learn not only what things are impacting your lives and your quality of lives, what things are important to you, but also future topics that I also need to learn more about. I always learn from your questions as well. So the last question that I have for today is, my husband has had Parkinson's for 7 or 8 years. He is now coughing a lot during the day. He doesn't have a cold. It's more like he's constantly having to clear his throat. He finds chewing gum and small peppermints do help, but at night this continues. He sort of gurgles and chokes in bed, and his throat gets thickened with mucus or saliva. Of course, he can't chew gum or suck on a peppermint in his sleep. Sleeping with his head raised doesn't help much. Can you offer any advice? Well, to this individual and to those of you out there, one of the topics that I am going to go into more depth in for next month, so we're talking now about March's session, one of the things I'm going to talk about is problems with choking and swallowing, because in my opinion, these problems are, and I don't think it's just my opinion for sure, but definitely life-threatening if they are allowed to go or to continue. So I think that the symptoms that this gentleman is experiencing are definitely symptoms that this gentleman has a swallowing problem. People are more likely to notice problems with food or drink, but also in just swallowing saliva. And swallowings can occur when people have had Parkinson's for several years. In mild cases, you may be unaware of swallowing problems, and I did talk last time about drooling, which is often a symptom that the individual is having a problem with the automatic swallowing reflex. However, it sounds in this particular gentleman's case as though he definitely needs to have, in my opinion, needs to have a swallowing assessment, because indications of problems with swallowing difficulties include slow eating, holding food in the mouth, a wet, gurgly voice, coughing or choking with fluid or food, including saliva, having effortful swallowing, and more problems with taking pills. So the problem with this, and I'm going to go into more detail with this, is that aspiration pneumonia can develop because food and liquid, including saliva, can go down into the lungs. And this is a very serious issue. So when somebody tells me that they're having coughing, that they're having a wet, gurgly voice, when they're having problems with excessive saliva production, and even with mucus, which are all things that this particular individual has identified, I think they need to go, or if this is happening to you, you definitely need to make your doctors aware of this. It sounds like you would probably need a swallowing assessment. Speech-language pathologists are the experts when it comes to speech and when it comes to swallowing. And as I said, I'm going to go into more detail about this next time, but I really believe that this is something that it really alerted me or concerned me. It's what I call a red flag issue. So please, if you are the individual that has asked this question, you can call me for more details about this. But again, I strongly suggest that you let your doctor know that this is happening. It could end up with something much more serious in the form of aspiration pneumonia. So we're not quite out of time. It's just 1:45 according to me. But that is basically all I had to speak with you about today.
I have someone just typing, so if we can just wait 1
Oh,
minute.
of course. Someone is just typing, which is just fine. And I'm really glad that I've had quite a bit of positive feedback about these chats. The chats will be easier on me as well. The more questions that I get, the easier it will be for me, because then I will know that I'm targeting issues, as I said, that really pertain to your specific issues and your quality of life. And that's really what I am attempting to do with my quote-unquote lunchtime chat.
So Sandy, here's a question. Someone is looking for good strategies for fall prevention. Would be willing to talk offline, but I don't know if you want to speak to that at all on this call. Fall prevention.
Sure. Falls prevention also is another topic that I plan to discuss in one of the upcoming chats. And just before I get to that, the bottom line is that within the next week or so, before we talk about the next session for March, I'm planning to work out in my head an agenda for these chats so that you will know each month what I'm hoping to touch base with. Of course, you won't know, and neither will I, ahead of time what the questions may be. So it might still be worthwhile you tuning in, shall I say, but as far as the topics are concerned, it's only fair to you if I give you some kind of an idea of what's coming up, because again, even though not everybody with Parkinson's is the same, and it might be helpful for you to listen in regardless of the issue I'm going to discuss pertains to you or not. You may say, oh, that's not something I have a problem with, so it's not something that you might want to tune into. So I will give you a topic agenda for the next several months as we go forward. Okay, so falls prevention. Again, as this writer has written, they would be happy to speak offline. It's a huge topic because people with Parkinson's fall for a variety of reasons. They may fall because they have a loss of balance. Loss of balance possibly could be because their blood pressure is out of whack. There is another symptom of Parkinson's that I will be going into more detail with in another session. It's called orthostatic hypotension. Fancy medical term, it basically means when your blood pressure drops to your toes. Therefore, you drop too. And this can happen very suddenly and very unannounced. So I don't know why this person is asking the question, but if indeed the falling is happening coincidentally at the same time as you're feeling lightheaded or dizzy, it could be a problem with your blood pressure. Another reason why people fall is because they shuffle their feet. People with Parkinson's don't always pick up their feet in a normal gait, as most of us do, and as a result, they may trip over things as they're going around the house or wherever they are in any different environment. So it could be because they're actually tripping. Sometimes a fall is a result because you have a scatter rug or something that is dangerous even in your own home environment that is happening, and as a result you may slip for that reason. A fall can occur because you don't have properly fitting shoes. So again, loss of balance, drop in blood pressure, improperly fitting shoes, scatter rugs that are or any other obstacles around your home environment, etc. There's all kinds of reasons why people with Parkinson's fall. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So again, I will be talking about falls and some falls strategies, or prevention of falls strategies, I should say, in another talk. But if this particular caller would like to give me a call at 416-227-3375, or you could email me at Sandy, that's SANDIE, .Jones, JONES, at Parkinson, PARKINSON.ca. I'd be very happy to give you more insight into why you might be falling.
Okay, so one other question is, they just written Parkinson and dental issues.
Oh boy, oh boy. Debbie, will you ensure that you forward these questions to me as well? Because, okay, wow. Okay, another excellent question, another rather complicated answer. And again, I haven't got time today to go into this, and I don't want to, although I often do, just talk off the top of my head, whether I should or not. But let me just say, so dental issues happen for, again, a variety of reasons. We have what we call a natural flora. That's a natural level of bacteria in our mouth. That's a normal level of bacteria in our mouth. Sometimes people with Parkinson's have a change in that flora in their mouth. Again, the level of bacteria can increase. Sometimes because this can be related to problems with swallowing, not swallowing effectively, not getting rid of the saliva in a timely fashion. As a result, saliva can pool in the mouth and has a long time to have an adverse effect on your teeth, and people can actually develop tooth decay or gum disease as a result of ineffective or improper swallowing. Our mouths are very dirty. I'm sorry if you weren't aware of that, but our mouths are actually full of bacteria, and our saliva is laden with very bad bacteria as well. So if you're having swallowing issues, etc., that can certainly be part of the problem. People with Parkinson's often also need to change sometimes the consistency of their food, and this can also lead to tooth decay and or gum disease. That's called periodontal disease, and over my time here, I've certainly known people who have had to have an exorbitant number of extractions or surgery on their gums due to gum disease because of the because of their Parkinson's. Even some of the anti-Parkinson's medications can cause issues with tooth decay and gum disease. So again, if this individual would like more information, I am going to look into this because it's going to be part of one of the sessions that I do talk about, but it's something that I need to do further research on. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer for this, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry if I haven't been able to give you enough information, but at least I'm hoping that gives you a head start to know that there is definitely an issue with dental issues, gum disease, and tooth decay when it comes to Parkinson's disease. Okay, so I think I'm probably finished for today. I have almost 1 o'clock now. I hope that this has helped to provide you with a little bit more insight into your Parkinson's so that you'll have a better idea of what's going on, because I really feel that knowledge is powerful. If you would like me to do something differently with these chats, if there's something that's not working for you, I can't fix what I don't know about. So while I have really appreciated several comments over the past month about the fact that people found it helpful in January, I hope you found February to be helpful as well. But I'm a big girl, I have big shoulders, and I'm happy to have what I call constructive criticism. So if this isn't working for you, or you'd like me to do something differently, then please let me know. I know that one of the comments that I got last time from a gentleman, which I think is a very valid one, he found that the hour chat was too long. Well, if that's the case and you find that you're, losing it in memory, or your information overload, don't forget, you can go to our Parkinson's website, click on that link I told you about, PDTV, and then you can just click on lunchtime chats and hear it again and again and again, or as often as your tummies can handle, because all of these things are being taped for future reference. So again, if you're finding that you want to go over something again, or that you just haven't been able to take it all in, don't worry about information overload. Happens to me all the time. I just hit a pause button and then go back to refresh what's being talked about. So you can do that as well. So thank you again very much for participating in today's call. I will be anxious to get the numbers in terms of how many people have tuned in. If you have enjoyed this, don't hesitate to speak to others in your support groups or wherever you happen to cross paths of other people with Parkinson's. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Okay? We have to make a deal on that. Anyway, love you guys. Look forward to our next session in March. Take care. Bye for now. The leader